Hi, my name is Andy Mallet, and this is Glimmer DSL for SWT tutorial number 11. So last time I went through hello style text and explained a very advanced widget in SWT that enables you to basically style text that the user is entering. Like for example, change the color of the foreground color of the text, or change the background color, or even apply effects like underline or strike through, etc. Today I'm going to go through an advanced application of styled text through hello code text. So hello code text actually builds on styled text by actually providing a syntax highlighted widget. So let's get started by launching the example. So there you go. So as you can see, this is a syntax highlighted text that is Ruby code. And we also have the line numbers on the left side. If we click on the middle tab, this is JavaScript code, and you can notice the syntax highlighting is different. So the widget is smart enough to vary the syntax highlighting depending on the programming language that you're displaying. And you can notice that there are some customizations to the style of the widget whereby it looks kind of flat without all the different borders that separated the numbers, the line numbers from the code. So if I were to go back to the first tab, you see how the line numbers and the code are in two separate rectangles or areas with borders, whereas here they're now kind of like part of the same area. So this is just to demonstrate customizability of the widget. And then if you were to go to tab number 3, this one doesn't even have line numbers, so you can actually drop them. One last thing to demonstrate is if I were to, for example, copy all this code and paste it, now I have more code than could fit vertically in the window. So now I can actually scroll, and you can notice how the line numbers will line up perfectly even as I'm scrolling. Let's jump into the code. So as you can see, we have a hello code text sample. And it's got 3 attributes: Ruby code, JS code, and HTML code. And the before body hook, they're getting set up with the code, and it's just multi-line strings. And then if we were to jump into the body of the GUI, we have a tab folder with different tab items, and that's pretty much the 3 tabs that we saw at the top. And the first one has a code text widget that has a language of Ruby, a theme of Glimmer, meaning they're also themable, and with lines being true, meaning lines are enabled. And then the text of the code text widget is data bound bidirectionally to the Ruby code attribute that we saw above on the self object. And this will automatically ensure that, when you first load the code text widget, it'll grab whatever text was set on that attribute, which we saw above, but then I can edit it and change that text, and it'll automatically get persisted back into the Ruby code attribute, thanks to the declarative data mining feature in Glimmer. And then if we look into the second tab, this one has a few customizations applied. So it's also the code text widget. However, it's got a few SWT styles passed in initially. So basically it's saying it's a multi-line widget, meaning the text is going to show up as multi-line. We're going to have a horizontal scroll bar when needed and a vertical scroll bar. The one thing that is missing is border. So we intentionally left the border SWT style out. So that's the thing that eliminated the border around the widget, as you noticed with the second example. And otherwise, the rest of the options are clear. There's just the language is JavaScript. The theme is a different theme, pasty. And the lines are customized to have a width of 2 only. to start. If you end up with more, so I mean, let me relaunch the sample just to explain what that means. Basically, here you can notice the width of the lines is about 3 or 4 characters by default, whereas here it's only 2. However, of course, if I end up reaching 100 lines and exceeding, the 2 digits and ending up with 3 digits, like 100 for 100, it'll end up growing automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. But this is just indicating what is the starting width. So the starting width in this case is 2. So that's another way of another customization that was applied. There are even more advanced customizations applied to this widget. So if you open the widget here, you can just set the text. That's a very simple property. Here, we actually have nested, you could say nested parts of the widget as basically components that you can customize. So given that lines are true, what that means is we're going to have lines on the left side, and then we're going to have the code on the right side. However, everything is rooted within a parent composite. This is what root means. So here it says we're going to customize the root composite of the code text widget, and you simply then nest within it whatever you want to customize it with. So I can customize the layout that's applied to that composite, and then I can set the background to white. And then next I'm going to customize the line numbers area and also set the background to white. And then after that, it's just setting the text property with data binding. So basically we're data binding it to the JS code attribute on self, which is similar to what we did in the first step. So this is just illustrating the breadth of how customizable Glimmer widgets can be. And code text is a very advanced widget that is built on top of styled text, and it's highly customizable. So this is the reason why when I click here, the default view will have a composite that has a gray background, and the line number area also has a gray background. Whereas here, we customize them as white and white. That's why the whole area is white now. Finally, the third tab is just a simple application where we have a language of HTML, a theme of GitHub, and then the lines by default are disabled. So if you don't specify the lines property, it's set to false, and that's it. And so as you can see, the Glimmer meta sample uses this widget. And that's the widget we've been using the entire time to demonstrate all the Glimmer samples. So you can see I have line numbers here, I have the code over here, and there's an even different customization to it for the look and feel in the Glimmer meta sample. But we don't even stop here. We go further than that. The code text widget is actually used to build an entire IDE using Glimmer DSL for SWT. The IDE is called Gladiator, which is sort of a play on the two words Glimmer Editor. So Glimmer Editor, Gladiator. So there it is. I'm going to open it up, and there's Gladiator. So Gladiator is a full-fledged IDE built with Glimmer DSL for SWT, and the center widget, the most important widget in it is obviously code text because it provides syntax highlighting. And I've been using this editor since 2000 or so, and for all my projects, and I have no complaints about it. I mean, in my opinion, it's advanced enough and has enough shortcuts to keep me productive. So I have no complaints about it, but obviously it's a relatively new editor, so it might not be as full-featured as it could be. So that's why I continue to maintain this editor and adding new features every once in a while. In any case, it's got a lot of features, like I can enter line numbers and jump to a line, like jumping to line 316. I can search for a word. I can find and replace. I could do a lookup of a file name. Yeah, like, I mean, we're looking up code text, and then I can open hello code text. And then there's obviously the tree of directories and files on the left side over here. So there you go. If I were to go back to code text though, let's explain how this code text widget was built. So the first thing to note is that it basically is it includes the Glimmer UI custom widget module mixin, which basically designates this as a custom widget. It has three options: language, theme, and lines, as you already saw. There's even a fourth option. It's like an advanced option, default behavior, which I won't get into right now, but these are the options that it receives. Of course, the body of the GUI is inside the body method. So if I were to keep scrolling, there's some before body setup and then after body, but then the body is over here. And depending on whether I want lines or not, if I want lines, it'll build a composite, it'll nest under it the lines, and then it'll nest the code text widget. Otherwise, it'll immediately put the code text widget as the body. And the code text widget will basically, if there are lines, it'll synchronize its top pixel with bidirectional data binding into this style text proxy top pixel property. And if I were to go back to the line numbers are basically a style text widget that has its top pixel synchronized with the same exact attributes. So this is the reason why. So this is a style text widget over here, and this is also a style text widget. So both of them, this one is a style text, and this one is. So what I'm doing is basically, if you data bind two attributes from two widgets to the same model attribute, it'll synchronize them perfectly. And that's the reason why when I scroll down and up, the line numbers are moving with perfect synchronicity, or synchronization with the text widget, style text widget. And you can notice here that basically the top pixel is the top pixel that we're seeing. So for example, you can see it over here actually. Gladiator shows it to you. So on the top right, the top pixel is number 2145. If I scroll up, see the number is decreasing. And if I scroll down, it increases. So this is the top pixel, and the line numbers will perfectly match it. So other than that, the other most important part in this is the listener on style text that I explained during the last tutorial, which is the online get style listener. So what it does over here is that it uses the Rouge gem in order to parse the code, and then after it parses it, it basically extracts tokens from the code, and every token represents a word. So I mean, you can see here the nil is styled red, this is styled purple, this is styled bright red, and so or maybe orange. So basically it'll break words down into tokens, and for each token it'll give me all the different styles that are needed to be applied, like is it bold, is it italic, what is the foreground color, what is the background color, etc. And I simply construct a style range object like I mentioned during the last tutorial, and I set all of those styles that are received from the Rouge gem. And once I do so, the text ends up getting styled, and that's how we see syntax highlighting on the screen. And you can notice a very short, lambda function, like a block. That's all it is. Like all the heavy lifting is happening through the Rouge gem, but the Glimmer code is relatively simple. So there's not much work to it. And I mean, that's just demonstrating the prowess of the SWT library, as well as how to apply, how to take advantage of it in Ruby. you would have to write so much more code than this in Java. Like if I was using SWT in Java, at least double the code, maybe triple, maybe 4 to 10 times the code. Ruby makes everything a lot simpler because of the Glimmer DSL. So I mean, even using SWT without Glimmer would be at least double the code, maybe that Glimmer in general, at least double. It might be triple or quadruple the code that you would write with Glimmer instead. So anyways, that concludes this tutorial about the code text widget, which is another extremely, very advanced SWT widget. However, this one's a custom widget that was built in the Glimmer project. Next tutorial, I'll continue with showing advanced widgets. We'll jump into another advanced widget next time. However, in the meantime, in order to learn more about the Glimmer DSL for SWT project, check out the GitHub repository.